Guys, welcome back to True Crime with Shannon, where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. I'm going to do a bit of a dive into the Summer Wells case, looking back at the timeline and some news clips and press conferences and what have you. Today is May 15th, 2023. A month from now, it'll be 2 years since Summer was last seen. And that Amber Alert was actually issued on the 16th, the next day. So here is a clip from one of the local news affiliates when they released the Amber Alert for Summer.
5-year-old Summer Wells has not been seen since last night. Agents from both the TBI and the FBI are investigating along with local authorities. Wells is roughly 3 feet tall, weighing 40 pounds with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing gray pants and a pink shirt. Now, she was reportedly last seen outside of her home in the area of Ben Hill Road and Beach Creek Road. Both crews have been searching on foot and with helicopters since last night. News Channel 11's Kate Nemrich joins us now live with the very latest details. Kate, what do we know so far?
Sydney, an Amber Alert was issued for 5-year-old Summer Wells just about an hour ago. Around that time, we started seeing helicopters circling once again, searching for her. Now, the road, Ben Hill Road, where she lives and was reportedly last seen, remains closed at this time. Ainsley Daniels is also on scene with me, and she just drove past that scene a few minutes ago, where there are plenty of emergency responders present. The TBI, FBI, Hawkins Sheriff's Office, Hawkins Emergency Rescue, Kingsport Life Saving Crew, Bristol Fire, and many more. We're a few miles down the road at Solomon's Temple Baptist, where they have placed balloons in their prayer garden for Summer. They say Summer and her family used to attend this church, and she and her siblings did programs here.
Kate, thank you. Now, take another good look at this photo here of 5-year-old Summer Wells. A few photos there running on your screen right now. Anyone who has information about this little girl's whereabouts is asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND, or you can email a tip to tbi@tn.gov.
So, as we know, the timeline is supposedly, I say that in quotes, air quotes, that according to Candace's script, story, what however you would like to refer to that as, the last time that Candace and Grandis are stating that they saw Summer was about 5:30 p.m. on June 15th, 2021. Again, the story / script has kind of changed a bit in the last almost 2 years, and it changed pretty early on as well. The main script that Candace has gone with is that Summer was planting flowers about 20 feet from their home on Ben Hill Road in the Beach Creek community with her and Grandis, and then she decided she wanted to go inside and play. So she brought her inside and she told her brothers to watch her. And then Candace states she went back to the house a few minutes later, and she asked her sons where Summer was, and they told her that she went down to the basement to play. Candace claims she went down to the basement and Summer was gone. She was just gone. Then about 6:30 p.m. on June 15th, Summer was officially reported missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. And then, of course, at midnight on the next day was when they issued the Endangered Child Alert and Amber Alert on the 16th of June, the next day. So let me play a bit of how Candace describes the last time she saw Summer.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay. And I walked her all the way over to the porch. And I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, watch Summer. I'll be back. And within 2 minutes, I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was. And they said, she went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom. I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times. And I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone. I don't go on walks around here or runs because I'm scared of the bears and snakes and even the coyotes that are around here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Go to the FBI, the police, and clear it up. I mean, I don't know, it seems kind of elusive.
It's really strange that I've never seen this truck, and I've never heard of it until just recently. But I wish they would come forward and explain themselves. I mean, if you're not a suspect, at least come forward and say what you've seen.
Now, Candace is talking about the red truck that was reported seen near Ben Hill Road, which, as it turned out, really didn't seem to be much of any kind of tip. But hey, at the beginning of this whole thing, we all followed Candace and her story of planting flowers, which there's no flowers on Ben Hill Road, mostly weeds. And so they decided to speak with the media finally. And this basically was Candace's first real interview with the media. And this particular interview was with WJHL on June 29th of 2021. So about 14 days after Summer's quote-unquote disappearance. Now, between that time, you had all kinds of searches going on all over by Ben Hill Road and what have you. Again, the Amber Alert was issued. There was a endangered child alert. And you had officials with Hawkins County Sheriff's Office, TBI, out there. You had search teams searching steep and dangerous terrain with, dense areas. And it was very, very difficult for these teams to search. And now believing that, I don't believe for a hot second that she wandered off. And Candace even says herself she doesn't go wandering off around there because there's bears and coyotes, or coyotes as she referred to them in the interview. So it's, to me, that whole wandered off or someone took her, it just doesn't seem probable when you see the layout and where their Ben Hill Road, the Summer Wells residence is, where Candace and Don and the family were living back in 2021. So let's listen to a bit more of the interview.
She was a tomboy. I shaved my head. She wanted to have her head shaved like me and the boys did.
She tried to shave her head
She tried
in
to
the
shave her
back
head
and make
herself.
it, I think you can see it in some of the pictures, and it was getting out of control. So we decided to shave her head off and let it grow back long, and she shaved her head so she wouldn't feel bad, and but it didn't bother her at this point. Well, I knew right away.
Does anyone else buy that Summer wanted to shave her head because Candace shaved her head and the boys basically didn't have hair? The more you think about that one, I'm just not buying it. I either think it's one of two reasons that her head was shaved. A, it was a punishment of some sort. Well, maybe three possibilities. It was shaved. Secondly, maybe due to the way that they lived there. That way Candace doesn't have to do too much to Summer's hair. Or three, which I hate to put out there, but maybe it had to do with what happened to Summer. Maybe there was a reason she was shaved. Definitely has come to mind in the last almost 2 years.
That she was abducted, you know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, you know, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. But I'm sorry that they had to spend so many man hours in these woods and everything. I've seen them limping and everything else, you know, and I feel for them. But I just wish there was a way that neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, you know, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, you know, in the eastern United States or whatever.
Don, Summer did not wander off. Okay? The answers to what happened to Summer are with that person sitting right next to you during this interview. Candace knows. She knows exactly what happened to Summer. I don't believe for a hot second that Summer wandered off, that Summer was taken from Ben Hill Road. And if she was taken from Ben Hill Road, you, or at least Candace, knows exactly how it happened. I believe she had some sort of an accident, something happened to her, and Candace covered it up. Or maybe I hate to say it, maybe there is some sort of sale or the trafficking thing going on. I don't know, but let me put it this way. She wasn't taken, and you guys are not aware. You guys are definitely aware, what happened to that sweet little 5-year-old girl. And it's really sad that you had all these search teams out there looking for Summer. So many caring souls out there. And neither one of you have done much at all to search for your daughter. You still haven't done much. Almost 2 years later. And no, we're not going to search the entire country for her. And a lot of us have done some of that to some degree. But Summer, the answers are on Ben Hill Road. I really, truly believe that.
But I wish there was a way. Just thankful for the person or persons that's doing that, you know, out of love, and trying to get information and trying to get her found. We thank them from the bottom of our hearts.
That means a lot.
And we thank everybody who's trying so hard and praying so hard. And she's an awesome young lady, and we just want her back. But, yeah, there's always going to be haters, you know, and you know, it's always going to be that way in this world, and we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer. And we thank them from the bottom of our hearts, and that's the kind of people we try to relate with and socialize with. So we don't know anything about, you know, no red truck, or we hardly know many of our neighbors. I mean, because we just try to be around good people. I mean, and we do have good people in this area. We found out since this has all happened. We got some real good neighbors and good folks everywhere. But
the most important thing is to bring Summer home safe. I'm sorry that you feel this way about us, but we love our children with everything we have. We've never went without, thanks to Summer's daddy and my husband. He's always provided for us and has worked as much as he could and can and still is. And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around.
I wish I could believe that's Candace. I really wish I could. Do you guys notice that she's got such a blank look on her face? She doesn't believe the things she's saying. There's a lot more to those expressions on her face. They do not equal the words that are coming out of her mouth. Nope, not at all.
Ever.
She loves to dance. She would always want me. She says, "Daddy, hold my hand so I can twirl." And she would just like to twirl and twirl and twirl till my arm got tired, you know. But I put out there that one of Summer's favorite songs was Godzilla, and they say, and they're jumping all over me about past tense was, well, I'm sorry about that. It's just.
She also liked the song by New Breed. It was called House, My House. She sung that a lot of times when I play it on the TV. She loved to dance.
Those past tenses are biting you in the ass, guys. Dawn and Candace. You can deny it all you want. Was, she liked, she loved. You don't refer to a child that you know or care to believe is still with us in a past tense. Brandy Neal has never referred to Michael Vaughn in the past tense. Never. Nope. You just don't do that.
She liked to think of herself as a princess, and and all that, like all young girls do. And
she loved Frozen. She loved to be that Elsa, and
I think she really loved to be in church because she felt a lot of love there. And I think you can't explain what that love is, but you feel it and you know it, when you're young. And she felt that there, and she loved everybody in that church. Or she loves everybody in that church. I should rephrase that because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize again for that. I hope she gets to come home, and I hope she gets to be with our church family again.
Our best friend in that church was Robin. She loved her to death.
Yeah, she looked up to women that were...
She come to that church, she went looking for Robin. That was her favorite person.
Any woman that was professional, that
was pretty, beautiful.
She looked up to those kind of women. She, they were, the word I'm looking for, I can't think of it, but she looked up to them.
I don't know, guys. Dawn, you're trying to correct yourself. No, it's just not working. Maybe it worked early on. I'll admit, I bought it. I bought it in 2021. I bought it. I don't buy it almost 2 years later. I just don't buy it. And speaking of Robin, well, let's play a bit of what Robin has had to say about Summer Wells.
Whenever I was helping teach Sabbath school, she was in my lap. And sometimes it was hard to teach because she wanted to be in my lap, holding me and hugging me. I just discovered that it was actually easier for me just to hold her and let her love on me and hug me and teach with her on me than it was to make her sit in a chair.
Robin Lane tells me she had a close bond with Summer.
She was a helper. She loved to help. She loved to love on us. And I just loved her little arms around my neck all the time.
She recalled she was attending her own daughter's dance recital the night Summer disappeared.
I was taking my little girl's pictures before her dance class, and I noticed I was missing calls from Candace. Before I even had a chance to call her, she messaged me again on Facebook Messenger, and she was just in a panic mode. And she says, "Summer's gone. We can't find her anywhere. The police are here searching." And I said, "I'll be right there."
Lane said she arrived at the Beach Creek area around 9 p.m. on June 15th, the night Summer was reported missing.
I was ready. I was like, let's do this. Let's get the flashlights out. Let's get some snacks in our bags. It's going to be an all-nighter, And they wouldn't let us. They wouldn't let us even go up there.
Police blocking the entrance to Ben Hill Road, Lane says she offered assistance the only way she could.
We showed them some pictures of Summer. The police didn't have very good pictures of her, or some of them hadn't even seen a picture of her yet.
Later that night, she was granted access to the Wells home.
At that point, there's really nothing I could do. They just needed someone to pray with them. You feel really helpless in that situation because you want to do something. It makes you feel better to do something. But we couldn't, so we just prayed and we just hugged on them and loved on the boys. And they, of course, were just shattered and just confused, as was I.
Lane says police wouldn't allow them to assist in the search.
And then we had to go home, and it was really hard driving home with her not being found. Helicopters everywhere, search dogs everywhere, police everywhere, and there's nothing that you can do to help.
I find Robin's enthusiasm for going out there to search for a missing 5-year-old that supposedly loved her so much and that she cared about. She's like, oh, let's go get snacks and flashlights and all this sort of stuff. I mean, is that how you approach a horrible, horrific situation that supposedly, allegedly, this 5-year-old was either abducted, according to her parents, or wandered away? Is that how you respond to a missing child? I find that completely odd, for sure. And then there is the Wells neighbor, Jody Sue.
It's there, but you want to forget.
On the watch and hypervigilant. That's how Jody Sue Brown was the very day Summer Wells went missing.
There was no TV, no noise at all.
Jody Sue was in her cabin with her teenage kids, 19 and 14, waiting for anything.
We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of quiet.
The sale brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land was for sale, leading to a dispute of property lines.
While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candace and Donnie's driveway. Something about it struck me wrong.
She and her family next heard a truck door slamming and dismissed it as their neighbors. The next sound was harder to justify. About an hour and a half before Summer is thought to go missing, Jody Sue, her son, and her daughter heard something far more suspicious. A scream.
It stopped all three of us cold.
Her daughter was the first to go to the cabin door. Then all three were there, listening still.
We heard just this kind of shrill, almost animalistic scream.
Animalistic, but not an animal.
Knew it was, wrong. It wasn't a dog. It wasn't an animal.
That vigilance kicking into overdrive. Jody Sue and her son went out to look for the source of the scream.
My son and I decided to go out, look and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank. Didn't see anything, didn't hear anything.
They went on with their evening. The kids returned to being kids. Jody Sue headed down her driveway around 6 to tend to flowers.
And at this point, I start hearing Candace hollering for Summer. And then my brain immediately went, scream earlier, this, uh-oh.
Jody Sue was the first to hear those calls and the first to join the search for Summer.
I dropped my purse. I tried to yell up at Candace. I was like, I'm looking, and I started looking.
Jody Sue searched one side of a creek, Summer's brothers the opposite side.
And you gave statements to the police, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Jody Sue had been interviewed many times by investigators, bringing up the scream often. But the sheriff doesn't believe the scream is related to the disappearance of Summer Wells.
She's been interviewed numerous times by not only my agency, but the TBI and the FBI, and we don't find anything with that complaint or information related to this case.
Jody Sue wishes she could go back to just a short time before Summer disappeared and before the scream she believes was Summer.
Wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to dismiss it.
Well, as much as I don't trust Hawkins County on their investigation, Ronnie Lawson and Pruitt, I do believe that Jody Sue, that scream just didn't have anything to do with this case. I don't think it did. And she's definitely another one who's wanted to insert herself into the case. And I will say this one thing for her, though. She has been out looking. She went out looking for Summer when Candace and Don, they didn't. But other than that, residents on Ben Hill Road and all that area just don't seem to be too concerned about little missing Summer Wells.
Summer's grandma was with her granddaughter all day on June 15th, the day she disappeared. She walked me through what they did that day and said she and Summer were repotting cactus plants outside of her camper, and then
Summer came in and had a piece of peppermint, which is her favorite, and then she went in. She said, "Mama, I want to go play with the boys." Candy walked her back to the house, and she asked the boys to keep an eye on her, and that's the last time I seen her.
Well, I gotta tell you, Grandis, looked like you were trying to remember the script there, you know? Oh, I gave her a peppermint. It's her favorite. It's probably the peppermint they got from Sonic, because we heard that day she went to the hospital. They went to the pharmacy to get her medication. They supposedly went to the swimming hole, and they went to Sonic to get slushies. Now, Candace, her daughter, can remember all the flavors they all had, but she can't remember much else about that day besides, the script, the story they got going on. So, but Grandis sticking to it. I'll tell you, I mean, this interview was months later, since Summer disappeared. Grandis did not come out and speak to anyone at the beginning at all. And this was the point, actually, too, when supposedly Candace and Don had lawyered up and they stopped cooperating with law enforcement. So, the bottom line is that's the story we get. The whole planting flowers or Grandis cactuses, because they don't have flowers. There's no flowers in front of that home on Ben Hill Road. And she supposedly went inside. Brother said she went downstairs and she got gone, as the Wells say. I don't know. I have to wonder if she was gone before 5:30, between that 5:30 around that mark that they state that they last saw Summer. It's been talked that she overheated in the car. She had a dry drowning. Again, she was sold, traded, whatever have you. Or worse, something else happened to her at the hands of Candace or Grandis. Preferably, probably not Grandis, but Candace. And then, of course, Donnie was supposed to be at work. But that's sort of become a little fuzzy to see if he actually was still at work, because he was the one that called 911. So, again, this whole thing is a lot of mystery, and this, I have a lot more I want to dive further into. So this is pretty much some of the key players in it. And lastly, before I close out this video, on now being 23 months to the day that Summer Wells went missing, I want to play the first press conference with TBI.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leslie Earhart, a public information officer with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Thank you for being here and continuing to cover the search for 5-year-old Summer Wells.
Unfortunately, we don't have any significant updates to provide as Summer is still missing, but we did want to share the latest on the investigation and the ongoing search. As you know, she's now the subject of a statewide Amber Alert. She was last seen outside of her home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road, which is located in the Beach Creek community of Hawkins County. A family member reported her missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office at approximately 6:30 Tuesday evening. At the time she went missing, Summer was reportedly wearing a gray pants and a pink shirt. She is believed to be barefoot. We do want to encourage the public, especially residents living in the area of Ben Hill Road, to check any trail cameras or security cameras that they might have that could have captured Summer on video or in photographs. We also encourage residents to check any crawl spaces, outbuildings, or sheds that would make for good hiding places. As we mentioned, the search is ongoing. There are a number of agencies involved. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Ronnie Lawson to talk more about the search and the conditions that authorities are up against. Sheriff.
Thank you. It's been a very intense 21 hours of a lot of searching, a lot of investigation by 19 different agencies. Last night, we had approximately 60 to 80 people searching in the woods, with a number of law enforcement officers doing the investigation also. Today, we've had over 100 people in the woods searching throughout the whole region. We also have agents with the TBI and the FBI assisting my office. We jointly investigating this whole circumstance. Our main goal is to find Summer and find her safe. We have plenty of help. We don't need any assistance from the local people. We have the professional people out searching, and we just appreciate everybody, their contributions. It's been a tremendous outpour from the community with the water, the food, and the snacks. It's just overwhelming, and it's a very intense investigation. I know the public needs to know things, but it's ongoing, and we will release things as we can when we can. Our main goal right now is to find Summer.
We'll take a couple of questions, but keep in mind we can't discuss specifics of the investigation. Can you talk about the area back here and how it is?
Absolutely.
What it looks like from your office?
It's very dense. The terrain is tremendously hard. We have virtually no cell phone service. The radio system we use, which is not that good, we have very little radio communication. We do have several command posts setting up, but what makes it so hard is the communication between the boots on the ground, searching the woods, and the different agencies and officers, and it's very hard to communicate. And you know, we're not like, you know, we're in these small towns or in towns where you got a lot of cell service, and just for instance, when we get texts from the media, you may text and we may get it an hour later, and we have no way to replying to it. And the same way with the officers, and the ECOM Central Dispatch has done an excellent job. TBI has their command post that should arrive soon, and we're going to continue on until we find Summer and put this case to rest.
Do you believe there was foul play involved, and is there any history with this family?
The family are cooperating, and it's really too early to tell. We're still basically just gathering information, and we're in the search mode right now.
Since it appeared to be that she walked away from the home, why was it upgraded to an Amber Alert? Can you clarify that just a little bit more?
Well, the bottom line is we don't know where she is at this time. Again, there was the initial search. We acted, and the Sheriff's Office acted on the information available at the time. And as we learned more in the first several hours into today, it led us to issue an Amber Alert.
Well, when the Amber Alert was issued, you said there was new information that led you to believe that Summer might be in more danger. Can you expand on that a little bit?
I can't. That's part of the investigation.
Sheriff Lawson mentioned earlier that, he's asking community folks that you have enough resources here, what's your message to the community, that they feel like they want to help in some regard. How can they help at this time?
If they see something or know something, they need to tell somebody. That's the biggest thing. A lot of people don't want to get involved. If they want to reply to us or respond anonymously, that's fine, as long as we find Summer. That's the main thing right now. And we're talking about the Amber Alert. When they raise that up another level, that helps more people paying more attention. You get more clues, you get more calls, and then everybody can call that 1-800-TBI find, and it all goes into a database, which helps us in an area where we don't have a lot of communication anyway. So TBI helps us with that.
One more question.
Can you expand on maybe just the area where you guys are searching? Maybe if people see something in a certain area, they should be on a heightened alert if they're in a certain area or part of town.
Sure. Can you expand on the area?
Well, the train and stuff is like you see here. This is what the people are searching in. But if they seen something yesterday evening or afternoon that we need to know, that's when they need to make the call or come by the command post.
Any kind of landmarks and sort of an area that you're searching specifically, or
Just around Ben Hill Road in that area. That's the main, because she's 5 years old and she left the house, and evidently she got a little farther than they expected.
Do you have any idea how much territory your volunteers or searchers are covering?
A lot. We have so many out there that they've broadened the scope. Plus, we've been able to utilize aircraft. THP's been wonderful with their helicopter and the medical helicopters with THP's FLIR at night. And they've been flying today, and it's just outstanding how the community's come to help us, plus all the different resource agencies and the rescue squads and EMSs and all the law enforcement. And we just hope that we have a great result when we find Summer.
Have you gotten any leads? At this time, we're following up on any and all leads. Again, thank you for being here. We encourage the public to call in any credible information to 1-800-TBI-FIND, and we continue to hold out hope for the best possible outcome. Thank you.
So that was the first press conference, which was held on June 16th of 2021 with Leslie Earhart from TBI and Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. The really sad thing is we're 23 months, almost 2 years into the disappearance of this beautiful 5-year-old child. And we know just as much as we knew then. And that's pretty much nothing. It's a very, very sad thing when there's just no leads. A 5-year-old child doesn't just wander off and disappear off the face of the earth. It just doesn't happen. Okay? I don't want to go crazy with saying speculations, but I believe that, like I said previously, multiple times, Candace knows what happened to her daughter. Candace knows. She has lost custody of 2 children in Wisconsin. Summer's gone as of almost 2 years ago, and she's lost custody of her 3 boys pretty much. At this point, there's supposedly going to be a hearing later this week, and I'm pretty sure that the custody is going to be granted to these foster families, or they're going to go up for adoption, the 3 boys, and I believe that's the best for them. That said, again, I really believe Candace holds the key. She holds the key on what happened to this sweet child on June 15th, 2021. And is that photo on the right? That's the infamous photo of Summer falling asleep on two jugs of milk. Was that photo taken on June 15th of 2021, or was it just taken within a day or two? That's always still been a question that I have. It's been stated that it was on June 15th of 2021, but then it's also been speculated it may not be June 15th. It may just be a similar date. So, And folks have analyzed that photo, the full photo of that, so often. And I could tell you that law enforcement, TBI, I'm sure they've looked into it massively. But TBI knows a lot. The problem is Hawkins County, Ronnie Lawson, Sheriff Lawson has to ask them to do more. And you know what? They're not doing that. It just seems like this poor child is just, the case is going to remain cold. And I hate to say that. It's not cold to folks like myself and some other folks that I know, like Brooks on Crime Lines and Lies, and Trevor, who's a major advocate for Summer, and many others on YouTube and Facebook and what have you. There's many of us who all we want is answers and to bring this little sweet child home and to bring justice for whatever happened to her. But I don't know. It's sad when it seems like you're going around in circles and there's just nothing coming out of it. It's just very, very, very sad. But all right, that's all I've got for this one. I'm going to go through the videos again. I've watched many of them multiple times in the last, almost 2 years now. And plan on doing some more videos between now and June 15th. But let me know your thoughts on the case. What do you think happened to little Summer? As much as I would love to see this child be alive and well, I just don't believe that that's the way we're gonna find Summer. I really don't. Alright guys, have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.